Oh, hey, my name is Julia Franco, and I think we should talk about the female body in body horror films, and also how the movie The Substance reinforces ideas that I think should be deconstructed. So, body horror is a subgenre of horror that explores the fear of the deterioration of the body. It can be done through violence, blood, gore, anything that transforms the physical body to cause visceral reactions to the audience. There are many movies that explore this fear in really complicated ways, but it becomes even more complicated when the body that's being altered is a female body. That's because in most mainstream horror films, the female body is represented as a safe space. According to scholar Madison Johnson, women's bodies are often portrayed as a place, as a vessel for the audience to project their fears, anxieties, and cultural tensions. But what happens when that safe space starts to deteriorate? When this female body that represents comfort becomes unstable, the audience has no outlet for their fears and is forced to confront the disturbing imagery. According to Barbara Creed in her work about the monstrous feminine, the reason why female monsters terrify audiences are different from the reasons that male monsters do so. There is always sexual imprint in female monstrosity, and it's important to think about how that affects our perspectives on women's bodies outside the screens. If media represents natural processes like birth and menstruation with fear, we will have fear around those things. And if they treat it as disgusting, we will be disgusted by them. So The Guardian posted a review of the movie The Substance, and it starts with the quote, "The female body is a horror movie waiting to happen." And I think that says a lot about how media makes us, the audiences, relate natural biological experiences that happens in the body of people assigned female at birth to things that terrify us. So this film, The Substance, heavily relies on the transformation of a woman's body to cause horror. It follows the character Elizabeth Sparkle, who was popular in the 80s for her workout show. Now, on her 50th birthday, she gets fired for being considered too old to do the show. While dealing with rejection from a misogynistic and ageist society, Elizabeth decides to take this drug, The Substance. This drug will generate a young and beautiful version of herself. So in a grotesque birth-like scene, Sue is born from Elizabeth's back. Sue is an extremely conventionally attractive figure, with flawless, firm skin and perfect curves. The two women need to switch who stays conscious every 7 days to keep both bodies functioning and well. But as expected of this subgenre, those bodies are not going to end up being well. Elizabeth's body deteriorates drastically so that her perfect version can thrive and become a TV star, replacing her original self. So basically the audience gets to grimace at this woman's body being destroyed until she becomes literally nothing. And that is happening while we're also seeing cuts of Sue's body in a very objectified way. There are countless montages of fractions of this young, perfect body. Takes of her firm boobs, her perfect curves, her skinny thighs, and that is edited alongside takes of Elizabeth's body, which are made to make her look disgusting. So the viewers will sit there comparing those two bodies and being encouraged to find the older body ugly and the younger body beautiful. And that is what women have been trying to fight against for decades in film now. Even though The Substance is female written, female directed, and it shows awareness of the problems regarding representation of women's bodies on screen, it fails to criticize it. It's The Substance with no stance. To me, this film is saying, look what a disgrace it is to be a woman, but don't try to fight it, or it will be worse. And although this is true in society, I feel like movies shouldn't just represent that without criticizing it. And even if the filmmakers claim that they're criticizing it, it wasn't a deep enough critic to make people question the system. And I say that for a few different reasons. One of them is the overall response for the film, which we'll get more into later. But there is also a crucial element in the film that shows that. The film makes you see the deterioration of Elizabeth's body as a consequence of her own choices. She wanted to fit in. She wanted to be something that she was not. So she chose to do something radical to her body that ended up being her downfall. The most common interpretation I saw of this film, and I saw many, both offline and online, is that sometimes women exaggerate. They try too hard to be pretty until they become ugly. People are blaming women for caring too much about their appearances and saying that some go overboard on cosmetic procedures until they look terrible. And to me, that says it all. The Substance encourages people to blame women for trying to overcome their own oppression, instead of blaming the beauty industry or the impossible standards. So let's take a look at the reception of the film. As of today, it has an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 3.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is pretty good. And it got good reviews from The Guardian and the New York Times. So people liked it. Let's see why. Love yourself. You could be worse. If I became Margaret Qualley, I wouldn't want to go back to my real body either. I could never take The Substance because I'm too lazy to do all that every day. I'd rather just be old and ugly. So Demi Moore is old and ugly because she's 50? Very interesting. Let's see what the New York Times has to say. In the end, that's what The Substance does best. Not just remind us about the absurd standards for female beauty, yes, and the destructive power of celebrity, yes, but turn the mirror back on us. The sharpest critique isn't about bodies, but about the way we have trained ourselves to look at those bodies and the effect that it has on our own. Okay. The movie is appropriately enough a mirror. And our discomfort reveals our own hidden biases and fears about ourselves. Is it my fault? Am I the problem? So yeah, The Substance is basically telling all women out there that your body is in fact your worth, and you'll be punished if it's not perfect and you try to change it. It blames women for their oppression, and it makes it look aesthetically pleasing. It's utterly disgusting. But not for the gore. That part was cool. Anyway, if you like this and you want to read my whole research paper about this film, I talk about how I think it's a pretty literal translation of the observations that Julia Kristeva pointed out in her work, Theory of Objection. It just doesn't go that deep and doesn't criticize it. Yeah, so I talk about how this film could have used those ideas to make something that's actually productive to society, but it didn't. I'll probably link it on YouTube or something. So, yeah. Let's keep thinking about those things. Bye!